Picture this: a Christmas night, a crowd frozen in shock, filming everything on their phones, while two cops stand there looking like they just set their own careers on fire. In front of them is a man in a Santa suit, completely drenched in red paint. What started as a simple attempt to bring joy to kids turned into a scandal the whole town can't stop talking about. Want to know how it all went down? Let's dive in. So, let me paint you a picture. Imagine it's Christmas Eve, and the streets of Ridgefield are glowing with all the holiday vibes, twinkling lights, giant inflatable snowmen, and kids practically bouncing around on sugar highs. Everything looked perfect, but boy, was I about to ruin my own night. My name's Gregory Wallace, and yeah, I'm the new mayor of this town. 38, proud, and fully aware that most folks here weren't exactly throwing confetti when I got elected. I thought tonight would be a great chance to do something different. Something for the kids. I figured, why not dress up as Santa Claus, show up at the local orphanage, and spread a little holiday magic? Harmless, right? Anyway, there I was, stepping out of my car in full Santa gear. The hat, the boots, the beard, everything. And let me tell you, walking around in that outfit made me feel like I was about to deliver Oscar-worthy joy. I grabbed my big red sack of gifts and started making my way to the orphanage, humming some cheesy Christmas tune. Then came the first red flag. Out of nowhere, I heard, "Hey Santa, what's in the bag?" I turned around and saw two cops leaning against their patrol car like they owned the street. One of them, a guy with a buzz cut and sunglasses, at night by the way, smirked like he was auditioning for a villain role in some low-budget movie. His partner, tall, lanky, and looking like he was just there for the free donuts. Gifts for the kids?" I said, trying to keep it friendly. I mean, who messes with Santa? Apparently they do. Buzzcut walked over, giving me this look like I'd just told him I stole Rudolph. "Gifts, huh? Let me guess. Discounted electronics? Maybe some jewelry?" He snorted. I tried laughing it off. "Nah, man, just toys. You know, the usual Santa stuff." But he wasn't having it. "Funny, you don't look like the usual Santa to me." And there it was. That subtle, not so subtle, jab. My gut told me to walk away. But before I could even move, the lanky cop decided to chime in. "Why don't you open the bag, Santa? Just to, make sure the North Pole isn't missing inventory." At this point, the holiday cheer was draining out of me faster than eggnog at a Christmas party. "Listen, officers," I said, trying to stay calm. "I'm just here to deliver some gifts to the kids at the orphanage. If you'd like, I can call someone to confirm." But Buzzcut wasn't interested in confirmation. "How about we confirm it ourselves?" He grabbed the bag right out of my hands and dumped it on the sidewalk like he was searching for treasure. Out tumbled teddy bears, puzzles, and a couple of board games, the kind of stuff that screams, "For kids, not criminals." Lanky stepped back and laughed. "Wow, Santa, you're really living the dream." I clenched my fists, but kept my cool. "Look, if we're done here, I'd like to get back to the kids." But oh no, Buzzcut wasn't done. He sauntered over to their patrol car and pulled out a can of red spray paint. At first I thought, there's no way he's actually gonna. Spoiler, he did. "Let's make you look festive," he said with a grin that was anything but jolly. Before I could react, he shook the can and sprayed a streak of red paint down the front of my pristine white Santa suit. The crowd? Yeah, by now, there was one. People had started gathering, phones out, recording like it was some kind of holiday special gone horribly wrong. Someone muttered, "Is this for real?" And I couldn't blame them. I was standing there, covered in paint, trying to process how I went from being Santa to being public enemy number one in less than 5 minutes. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get worse, someone in the crowd shouted, "Wait, isn't that the mayor?" And that's when the real fun began. So there I was, standing on the sidewalk, looking like some twisted version of a Jackson Pollock painting. My Santa suit, which was supposed to scream "Merry Christmas," now looked like I'd lost a paintball fight. People in the growing crowd were whispering, pointing, and of course recording every second. Because why enjoy the show when you can make it go viral? The cops? Oh, they were loving it. Buzzcut had this smug grin plastered across his face, like he'd just pulled off the prank of the century. Lanky was laughing too, though it was more like that awkward chuckle people do when they don't know how to react but want to fit in. "Man, you really outdid yourself," someone from the crowd shouted, and a ripple of laughter followed. Buzzcut took a mock bow. "Just spreading a little holiday cheer, folks." At that point, I'd had enough. My voice came out steady, but trust me, I was holding back a storm. "Are you done? Or do you plan on ruining anyone else's Christmas tonight?" Buzzcut turned to me, pretending to think it over. Depends. Got any more surprises in that bag of yours?" The crowd wasn't buying it anymore. People started murmuring, and you could feel the energy shift. A woman in a puffer jacket stepped forward. "Leave him alone. What's he even done wrong?" Another voice piped up. "Yeah, this is ridiculous. He's just Santa." But then, because the universe loves a plot twist, someone in the back shouted loud enough for everyone to hear, "Wait, isn't that the new mayor?" And just like that, the mood flipped faster than a pancake at Sunday brunch. Buzzcut froze. Lanky's awkward chuckle died in his throat. For a second, I swear you could hear the snowflakes hitting the ground. The murmurs turned into a full-on buzz, and the crowd started closing in a little, like they wanted to get a better look at me, or maybe at Buzzcut's face, which was quickly shifting from cocky to confused. "Wait, hold up," Lanky muttered, his voice low enough that only Buzzcut could hear. "He's not really the mayor, right?" Buzzcut shot him a glare. "Don't be stupid. Why would the mayor dress up as Santa and walk around here?" "Well, good question, but not the point." A guy with a phone stepped forward. His screen lit up as he Googled something. "Oh, it's him all right. Gregory Wallace, 38, mayor of Ridgefield, elected last month. Congrats, officers. You just sprayed down the guy who signs your checks." The crowd roared. Some people clapped, others whooped, and a few just stared at the cops like they'd lost their minds. Phones were now pointed at Buzzcut and Lanky, capturing every second of their slow, painful realization. Buzzcut stammered, This is a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" I repeated, my tone sharper than tinsel on a bad day. "You dumped out a bag of toys, sprayed me with paint, and humiliated me in front of half the town. Please enlighten us. What part of this am I misunderstanding?" Lanky looked like he wanted to crawl under a rock. Buzzcut? Oh, he was scrambling for damage control. "Look, we didn't know who you were. We thought—" "What?" I cut him off. "You thought Santa was a threat to national security?" The crowd burst into laughter. Someone yelled, "Best Christmas comedy ever!" And I couldn't help but smirk a little. If I was going down, I was taking their dignity with me. At this point, the scene was pure chaos. More people were arriving, drawn by the spectacle, and the cops were getting visibly nervous. You could tell Buzzcut wanted to just vanish, but it was too late for that. A young woman with a bright red scarf stepped forward, her phone practically glued to her hand. "This is going straight to social media," she announced. "And trust me, you two are about to go viral for all the wrong reasons." Buzzcut tried to laugh it off. "Come on, folks, let's not blow this out of proportion." But the crowd wasn't letting it go. A man in a Santa hat shouted, "Blow it out of proportion? You just harassed the mayor on Christmas Eve in front of kids." And then, as if on cue, the doors of the orphanage opened and a group of kids came spilling out, their faces lighting up at the sight of Santa. Well, a very disheveled, paint-covered Santa. They froze when they saw the scene, their excited smiles fading into confusion. "What's happening?" one little boy asked, clutching a teddy bear. I knelt down, ignoring the chaos around me, and managed a smile. "Just a little mix-up, buddy. Don't worry, Santa's still here for you." The boy's eyes darted to the cops, then back to me. "They're not going to arrest you, are they?" That hit harder than I expected. I stood up, brushing off my suit as best I could, and faced the crowd. "No, they're not, because tonight isn't about them. It's about you, all of you, and nothing's stopping Santa from doing his job." The crowd cheered, the kids clapped, and for a moment, it felt like I'd won. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Not yet. The crowd was electric, buzzing with equal parts disbelief and outrage. Phones stayed up, recording every single second of this mess. The cops? They were in full-on damage control mode. Buzzcut's once confident smirk had morphed into a nervous twitch, and Lanky looked like he was trying to remember if he left his resignation letter in the car. But me? Oh, I was just getting started. "All right," I said, loud enough for the crowd to hear. "Let's clear this up, shall we? Since I've apparently been mistaken for a suspicious Santa." I put air quotes around it, which earned a ripple of laughter from the bystanders. "I think it's time for a little lesson on how to treat people. Who's with me?" The crowd erupted into cheers. People love an underdog, especially when he's wearing a ruined Santa suit and standing up to authority. Buzzcut raised his hands defensively. "Look, Mr. Wallace, we didn't mean any harm. This was all just a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" I repeated, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, I get it. You see a guy in a Santa suit delivering toys to kids, and naturally, your first instinct is to humiliate him in public. Makes perfect sense." Someone in the crowd shouted, "Yeah, explain that logic." More cheers followed, and the tension ratcheted up a notch. Lanky tried to step in. "Sir, please, we were just following protocol." "Protocol?" I cut him off, pointing to the red paint still dripping from my suit. "Does your handbook really have a section on how to ruin Santa's night? Or was this just a creative spin on community policing?" The crowd loved it. People were clapping, laughing, and throwing in their own quips. It was like a roast, and Buzzcut and Lanky were the main course. Meanwhile, the kids from the orphanage had moved closer, watching everything with wide eyes. I wasn't about to let them see me lose my cool. Not fully, anyway. So I took a deep breath, brushed off what was left of my dignity, and turned to the kids. "Hey, who's ready for some Christmas presents?" I asked, flashing my best Santa smile. The kids cheered, their excitement cutting through the chaos. I grabbed the sack of toys from where it had been unceremoniously dumped and started handing out gifts, one by one. Each kid's smile felt like a tiny victory, and for a moment, the cops were forgotten. But of course, Buzzcut couldn't leave well enough alone. "Look, Mr. Wallace," he started again, his voice shaking slightly. "We didn't know who you were. If we had, this wouldn't have happened." I stopped mid-handout and turned to face him. "Oh, so if I wasn't the mayor, this would have been okay?" Buzzcut's mouth opened, then shut. He looked like a goldfish trying to solve algebra. The crowd picked up on it immediately, and someone yelled, "Answer the question!" More cheers followed. Lanky, clearly desperate to salvage what little dignity they had left, tried to step forward. "What my partner means is that we acted in the moment, and we regret how it turned out." I tilted my head, pretending to consider his words. You regret how it turned out? Or do you just regret getting caught? The crowd went wild. Even the kids were giggling now, their innocence adding an ironic twist to the scene. At that moment, a car pulled up. Out stepped my assistant, Sarah, looking like she was ready to tear someone apart. Her heels clicked sharply against the pavement as she stormed over, her phone already in hand. "What on earth is going on here?" she demanded, her tone sharp enough to cut through steel. She glanced at me, then at the cops, her eyes narrowing. "Do you two have any idea who this is?" Buzzcut stammered. Yes, we just found out." Sarah didn't let him finish. "Found out? You mean after humiliating the mayor of this city in front of half its residents? Oh, this is going to look fantastic on tomorrow's news. Good job, officers. Really stellar work." The crowd roared with laughter and applause. Buzzcut looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him whole. Lanky just stared at his shoes, probably counting the seconds until he could run for the hills. "Sarah," I said, raising a hand. "It's fine. The damage is done. But you can bet this is the last time it's happening." She nodded, her expression softening slightly. "Agreed. And I'll make sure the city council hears about this." With that, she turned back to the crowd. "Thank you all for supporting Mayor Wallace tonight. Your voices matter, and I promise you, we're taking steps to ensure this kind of behavior isn't tolerated." The crowd cheered again, and for the first time all night, I felt a real sense of relief. The cops muttered a half-hearted apology before slinking back to their patrol car, their tails metaphorically between their legs. As they drove off, someone in the crowd shouted, "Merry Christmas, officers!" The laughter that followed echoed through the night. By the time the kids had their gifts and the crowd started to disperse, I was exhausted, but strangely energized. I looked down at my ruined suit, then at the smiling faces around me. "Yes, Santa needs a dry cleaner," I joked, earning a few more laughs. As I headed back to my car, Sarah by my side, she glanced at me and said, "You handled that well." "Thanks," I replied. "But next year I'm rethinking the Santa idea." She laughed. "Good call. Maybe go as the Grinch instead." I smirked. At least the Grinch wouldn't get sprayed with paint. And with that, we drove off into the night, leaving behind a story that Ridgefield would be talking about for years to come. What would you have done in Gregory's shoes? How would you handle being treated like that in front of everyone, especially when you're just trying to spread joy? Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you or someone you know ever faced a similar situation? Let's talk about it. Don't forget to like the story if it resonated with you and share it to keep the conversation going. This story is created to shine a light on real issues and inspire change. It's all about spreading awareness and making the world a better, kinder place for everyone. Your opinion matters. Together, we can make a difference.